Imagine sitting quietly, reading a book, when suddenly your heart races, your chest tightens, and you're convinced you're dying. This isn't drama, it's a biological hijacking. Here's what really happens inside your brain. Deep within your temporal lobe, a small almond-shaped structure called the amygdala is supposed to keep you safe. It scans every sound, sight, and sensation for danger. But during a panic attack, it malfunctions catastrophically. Instead of detecting real threats, it misinterprets normal bodily signals, a slight change in breathing, a subtle heart rate increase, as evidence of impending suffocation. This is not a conscious thought. It's a preconscious, subcortical process. The amygdala triggers a full-scale emergency response, like a smoke detector screaming fire over burnt toast. Neuroimaging studies show that in panic disorder, the amygdala is hypervigilant, primed to react with excessive force. This creates a vicious feedback loop. The physical response fuels more fear, which amps up the amygdala even further. If the amygdala is the alarm bell, the prefrontal cortex is the fire chief. Normally, it receives the alarm, assesses the context, and sends calming signals back. But during a panic attack, this regulatory pathway breaks down. Neuroimaging reveals a striking pattern. While amygdala activity spikes, prefrontal cortex activity plummets. It's as if the alarm system short-circuits the command center. The rational part of the brain, which should say you are safe, is effectively silenced. This explains why you cannot think your way out of a panic attack. The neural machinery for rational thought is temporarily offline. The hippocampus, which provides contextual safety signals, also fails, leaving the brain locked in a state of contextual fear, unable to recognize a safe environment. This electrical chaos is driven by a rapid neurochemical cascade. Norepinephrine, the brain's primary fight-or-flight neurotransmitter, floods the system. The locus coeruleus, a small brainstem nucleus, fires excessively, revving up the sympathetic nervous system. This triggers tachycardia, hyperventilation, sweating, and trembling, the classic physical symptoms. Meanwhile, GABA, the brain's primary inhibitory neurotransmitter, which normally acts as a brake, is deficient. Research shows that people with panic disorder have reduced GABA function, making it harder to calm neural activity. It's like having a stuck accelerator and a broken brake pedal. This chemical imbalance explains why the attack feels uncontrollable and why the body is trapped in a state of extreme physiological arousal. Once the chemical storm begins, a devastating feedback loop takes hold. The physical symptoms, racing heart, shortness of breath, are interpreted by the amygdala as further evidence of danger. This amplifies amygdala activity, which in turn intensifies the physical response. The brain is now locked in a self-perpetuating cycle of fear. This explains why panic attacks often escalate rapidly, peaking within minutes. The sufferer is not overreacting. Their brain is trapped in a biological loop that reinforces the false alarm. Understanding this loop is crucial because it reveals why distraction or reassurance often fails. The brain is too busy reacting to the internal storm to process external safety signals. Breaking this cycle requires interrupting the feedback at a neurological level. The intense fear of dying during a panic attack is not an exaggeration. It's a direct result of the brain's misinterpretation. The amygdala's false alarm triggers the same neural pathways as a real life-threatening event. The insula, a brain region that monitors internal body states, becomes hyperactive, amplifying sensations of suffocation and chest tightness. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex's inability to provide rational context means the brain cannot distinguish between a panic attack and a heart attack. This is why sufferers often end up in emergency rooms, convinced they are having a cardiac event. The feeling of losing control or going insane stems from the temporary shutdown of executive function. The brain is literally experiencing a neural hijacking. Repeated panic attacks can reshape the brain. Chronic hyperactivation of the amygdala leads to increased sensitivity to threat, making future attacks more likely. The hippocampus, involved in memory and context, can shrink due to chronic stress, impairing its ability to provide safety signals. The prefrontal cortex may also weaken, reducing emotional regulation capacity. This is why panic disorder often becomes chronic without intervention. However, the brain is also capable of neuroplasticity. Therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy and exposure therapy can strengthen prefrontal control over the amygdala. Over time, the brain can learn to reinterpret bodily signals, breaking the false alarm cycle. Understanding these changes empowers individuals to seek help and reclaim control over their neural circuitry. A panic attack is not weakness, it's a biological hijacking. By understanding the brain's false alarm, you can begin to demystify the terror. If you found this valuable, consider exploring more about how your mind works.